Do you recognize this face? Sorry for the jump scare. If you do, then congrats. You're an elite baller, knowledgeability, no willing.
But what the hell, but?
Hello ladies and gentlemen and my Kazz. In this video we will be checking out a Japanese horror game called Death Forest, created and developed by Kazz, or his alias Sad Satan. Now this game is very mysterious as the download page literally has nothing of note and the comments are disabled, so of course with any shady websites you download things from it. Don't actually do this by the way unless you like getting flashed by someone's feed by a malware. And one thing I found interesting about this game is that there is literally movies made from it, which strangely were made without the developer, so I don't know what's going on there. But enough dilly-dallying, let us all hop on Death Forest. In the menu we are given 3 options: play, quit, and special, which I will get more into later in the video. Something to point out is the shed. You see the shed? Yeah, you'll never see it in the game. I don't know what Shrek's toilet doing here. Pressing play brings us to the forest, the Death Forest, or formerly titled Cursed Forest. Let me give you a quick rundown. You play as Kazuki Uchida, a 22-year-old man. Yeah, that's all we have to go on. No face, no nothing. We're stranded in the middle of this forest due to our scooter breaking down. And by breaking down, I mean broken, irreparable, irreversible damages. Guess we might as well replace the whole bike with how many components needed to be replaced. I may have overreacted. Anyways, to escape requires 4 items. 1 tire, 20 liters of gasoline, an oil can, and a spark plug. Conveniently, this forest has everything. Maybe it's not so cursed after all. Meet Yoshi, the most persistent little piece of poopy fan. Her mechanics is basically just roaming and chase you like an immortal snail, because her speed is snail-paced, being one of the most easily dodgeable monsters in the game. She will never catch you if you just keep walking, making her one of the easiest monsters to deal with. And it gets easier because she plays a tune she gets nearby. However, there's one other way that she can kill you, and that is if you run out of flashlight battery. This little thing over here. I forgot to elaborate my earlier statement. The items that we're searching is in different sections of the forest. Some of these locations harbors its very own unique demons. Let's begin with the most lackluster one, which is the oil can. It's located in the shed, which is not the same place as the shed in the menu. Inside the shed is the aforementioned oil can, but the thing that just jump scared us is an unnamed spirit. Mechanically, it does nothing other than to peekaboo you. I told you it was lackluster. In the lore, this is supposed to be a lost child named Saki Nobuhiro, but I'll go in depth with their lore later in the later section of this video. It's important to note that going to this location makes Yoshi come straight towards you. Now that I acquired the oil can, let's go to the maze that is randomly located in this forest. This cave houses the tire we require. The layout of the maze is pretty simple, so it is relatively impossible to be lost in the maze. Either that or I'm just really good at mazes. Unfortunately, getting said tire is simpler than said, as when we enter the deeper part of this maze, this happens. This is Uma. His only mechanic is to chase the player out of the maze and roams the outside forest alongside Yoshi. He's significantly faster than everything in the game, so it's recommended to not stop. And might I add, if you don't look at him, he sounds adorable. Oh, Kuchi Kuchi! And one of the dirtiest tricks he does is he teleports in front of you while you're being chased out of the maze. So what else? Alright, there's a stair next to the maze which leads to the house. Inside said house is a spark plug. Fortunately, no evil demons resides in here. Instead, we can hear the locker banging. If you take the spark plug but then go back to check behind you, you'll meet my future ghost wife. I mean, you'll meet Yoshida, the only friendly spirit. She gets out of the locker to give you a battery. That's it. That's her whole gimmick. At least she looks crackable though.
Adrian.
Now with 3 items on hand, just pretend it's in the order I explained. We climb this pile of rock and enter the sewer cave which stores the gasoline, the final item needed. Now at first glance it seems rather safe, but it's not, because once you collect the jerry can, Woody Haley, Stalker, or Kenji Omiya, chases you out of the sewer. However, he comes in from where we enter, so it's an absolute necessity that we use the other path. He's as fast as the player, and he's supposed to chase you throughout the game after you get out of the sewer. However, he actually never chased me outside in my playthrough. With the 4 items, we can escape, right? No. To get out, there's a tunnel bridge with a locked door. To unlock said door, we need to go past through the other door. And guess what's in this little area? A white walking dolphin. Stranger, or Ransudo, is our final obstacle. If he sees you, he chases you. If he doesn't see you somehow, he just starts dancing or something. He's not really a threat as he's slower than the player and is easily dodged by just going the other way. The real threat, however, is when you get out of the little storage area. Yoshi, like a ballistic missile, heads straight towards your location. If you're not fast enough to get out of there, this happens. Let me go, bro. Are you serious? You know what? Whoa. Yo, juke of the century, bro. With everything done, we can head towards our scooter, motorbike thing, and ride off. Let's go, man. Let's keep clean. There are also these little things called files that can be found which unlocks some tidbits in the special, which gives a peek at the stories and the monster's origin. However, I don't speak Konnichiwa Kawaii desu Onigiri Subaru, so you'll just have to understand it when I explain the story. But wait, what in the hell is the lore, bro? Why are there demons here? Why is there a forest? And why is my ghost fiance trapped inside the locker?
Boy, if you don't
Well, to explain the story, let me be clear. The cursed forest wasn't always inhabited by vengeful spirits. There was only one dude, and that's the demon, the root of all evil. Not for long, however. Meet the first victim, Susumu Yogasaki, who was 20-year-old. He was working in a maintenance tunnel located in a forest when one fateful day in 1998, he was killed by his own colleague because his colleague was hallucinating, talking about some demons or something. After the first incident, 3 victims, Yoshi Kimura, Saki Nobuhiro, and Kokuta Ikino, All of them were students at Fukui University. Yoshi and Kokuta were planning to go on a date with an expedition to Onitaki Cave when Saki overheard their plans and invited himself inside the party and joined them on said expedition. In September 2007, they arrived at the cave location. At first, things were going well, even though the atmosphere was sour. They were just slowly scaling the caves. However, things took for the worse when Kokuta loses their exploration tools. At this point, Yoshi insisted on going back home since they risked being lost inside the cave, but Saki was having none of that. So Saki just left and explored the cave on his own. Suddenly, a bear appears and chased Yoshi and Kokuta. They ran in different directions, causing them to be separated. Yoshi, at a dead end, was approached by an entity. This was not a friendly approach, however, because this entity was carrying a metal pipe, and Yoshi was beaten to a pulp with said pipe, which made her get the iconic smile. Saki, unsurprisingly, was killed as well, and his body was dumped in a shed. Both became giant head PNGs in the process. Kokuta finds Yoshi in her mangled state and got kinda upset. Rose overreacting. So he finds a nearby dynamite stash, and unluckily for him, the entity found him and Loki started emoting on him. Kokuta fell for the rage bait and ignited the dynamite. After a daring escape, the cave was destroyed and he became a sole survivor of the whole ordeal. Couple of years forward, in 2013, three friends, Rensudo, Kenji Omiya, and Chika Yoshida, were driving through the accursed forest. The forest was proven to be a quick shortcut and they were all in urgency. Just a couple miles into the road before the car broke down, all of them got out to inspect the damage of the car when suddenly boom! She pops out amongst the trees and gives them a chase. Kenji climbed a pile of rocks and into a tunnel when he encounters a dead end, and well, Yoshi catches up and eats him, I don't know. Oh, and he turns white and becomes vengeful now. Ren was next. When he was running through the forest, Yoshi seems to have stopped chasing him, so in relief, he gets some rest near a shed. Oh, and suddenly, boom, another giant head ate him. He also turns white and becomes vengeful. The last one to go was Chika. She was running through the forest as well. As she was running, an entity surprises her from amongst the bushes and stabs her. She stumbles her way as she tried to escape said entity when she finds a house in the middle of the woods. She enters said house and hid inside a locker. The entities couldn't find her, so she was safe, but her stab wounds were proven to be troublesome when she began to bleed. With nowhere to go and nothing to wrap her wounds, she died from blood loss and didn't turn white and become vengeful. Instead, she became spirit-bounded to the house. The final victim is Kazuki Uchida. He was the only other survivor other than Kaokuto to have escaped the cursed forest. He was 32 years old and was just passing through the forest with his motorbike when suddenly it broke down. Luckily, nearby are all the parts he needs to fix his bike. So he searched through the forest, encountering demons he had never seen before. Once he had all the parts, he fixed up his motorbike to an okay runnable state and escaped. The Onryo still resides in the forest. The demon, on the other hand, has had his fun in the forest and went to another one located on the mountains, where the sequel game continues. I did find the download for the sequel game, however I don't trust the Japanese to be downloading from their site, so if this video gets enough like, I guess I could try checking it out. For now though, that was Death Forest. It's an interesting game and used to creep me out when I saw it as a kid. Nowadays, this game might be the least scary game I've ever played. Creepy, yeah, I felt the nerve at times. The game's only horror factor for me is the atmosphere and the design of the monsters, which is amazing, but it's done injustice by their sound design. Uma, for example, sounds like a yelping frog. It doesn't help that all of them are easily dodgeable and most of the time lower than the player. This is my opinion, however. I've been playing horror games for years now and I may be a little desensitized by them. It also gets a little boring since everything only chases you. Stranger is the only cool entity, with it having a more hearing-based blind enemy approach and a cool cutscene, but other than that, every other entity just gives you a chase. With that, I hope you enjoyed this video, and please don't forget to leave a like and comment what games you would like me to cover next. In conclusion, maybe don't go through a road that has a sign saying heading to the forest of death, destruction and misery.